What I'm going to attempt to show you here now, we're going to set dual rates on the elevator. So on your box, if you have that capability, it's usually a switch that you have that you can switch from low rates to high rates. And what that is, if you don't know, is low rate is when you set the flap deflection to go a certain height. Like right now, we can go that far. That's the full deflection I'll get out of my elevator right now at the setting that I have it on. I use this cool little doohickey here. You just set it at the 0 mark. And basically you can do the same thing with a ruler. Just stick a ruler up behind it. But right now for this model, for the low rates to be soft and gentle and fly real easy and almost like a trainer plane, you want the elevator at 1 inch, up and down. So I'm going to go up to 1 inch. And you can see that, I don't know if you can see the numbers there or not, but I'm just about at 1 inch right there. So if I want to go a little higher with that, I can set my box and just program it in. I want to make sure that I'm at the 0, which I am. And now I'm going to bring this up and go up, and I just take my box while it's sitting in the full position, and I can just punch the button a couple times, and it should raise that elevator. I'm hitting the negative. Well, of course I am. I want to go up to 1 inch. There we go. So as you can see, it's going up. When I get to 1 inch in the center, now my low rates are now set for 1 inch. I will flip the switch, and now you'll see that I get almost a 2 inch rate, almost double. So I got mine set for 2 inches right here, but I'm going to go full bore with mine, and that's for 3D Madness. So set your low rate. Like I said, if you want to see what the difference is, there's my low rate. I'm just going to flip the switch and I'm going to hold my finger down on the elevator thing. So that's my full rate right there all the way down. Just by flipping that switch, you can see almost double the rate there. So that's how you set your low rates and high rates and what they're all about. That's for serious acrobatics and fun and 3D flying. You want as much deflection as possible. And for just running light around and trying to figure out how the plane works, it's good to have low rates so it's not so responsive that you get it out of control in a hurry. Okay, now I have the doohickey measuring device here on the rudder. I just turn the plate up on its side so it's easier to read it. And I want to get 1 3/4 out of the rudder for the left. And that's just about right there actually. I need to add a little bit more. And the way you do the rudder, because it's not part of the dual rate switch, I suppose it could be, but on my box it's not. I just go to the amount of travel and then just take or leave some of the travel on it. So now I'm from the 0 point, I should go 1 3/4. And the way you adjust that there, like I said, just minus or negative. That's a little beyond it, so I need to take some out of it. There we go. So now I have 1 3/4 deflection to my left. I want to make the same thing for the right. It's going to be very heavy going to the right now until I get it down. There we go. She's starting to move. A little too much, I think. Oh, got to make sure mine's at 0. Like I said, you could just do this with a ruler. Just use your own imagination, whatever you want. So there I have 1 3/4 both ways. Up, a little more up. There we go. So now I have 1 3/4 both ways. So 1 3/4 for the rudder and 1 inch for the elevator for low rates. And anything above that is play at your own risk type stuff. And another way you can set your throws like that is just by unscrewing or screwing in the control horns to where you need to. So if I were to take my control horn here and move it in, that would give me less throw. So if you're getting too much throw on your control surfaces and you don't have a programmable box, you move this peg in on the servo, and then back here on the rudder, I would move it out. So out at the surface and in on the servo will make less throw overall. You can use little round discs. Now because this is a 3D plane, I'm using oversized arms here because I want to get as maximum throw as possible. So that's how you set your servo throws for your dual rates on your elevator, and how you set the rates for your your rudder. And now we're going to use a nice square. I want to get the center of my airons, and I just lay this up here. I put a center line on there, but as you can see, you want your aileron equal to the center of your rib. So the center of your rib, going from the very tip all the way across to the very middle of the back part, should be right in line. That's the center line for your neutral on the airons. So that's how I find it. I just go ahead and put the square right up on there, make sure I'm at my center, and then the square should run right through the center of the aileron when it's set. So I'm at my center marks. I'm at my center right there, so now I know I'm at a good neutral. And now I'm going to set my dual rates on my ailerons. So I got my piece right here, and I'll set that up at the 0 and see what my throws are for right and left. So right is over 2 inches, and I believe for the aileron they need to be 1 inch on low rate and 1 5/8 for high rate. So for low rate I want to go 1 inch. So I'll get down here and look at my mark, and 1 inch. I got to set my box for the aileron, which it is. That's a good thing. I'm on my low rate switch. So now I'll kick it off to the right and just decrease it until it becomes down to the 1 inch mark, and then my low rates will be set. And that's as easy as it is. And like I say, you could do the same thing with the control linkages if you don't have a computer radio. So now it's automatically going to set the left side because they're hooked in together in channels 1 and 6. So there we go for that. And then low rate, I'm going to keep it on high, and it said 1 5/8. So I want to be up somewhere right around that neck of the woods on high rates. That's a little heavy. So now on my high rate switch, I'll hit the negative and bring that down a little bit. So now my high rates are now 1 5/8. I'm at my 0. Hit my low rate switch. Should only be about 1 inch, and it is. And that'll keep the beast a little tame. So there's, with the full rate on, I'm just going to flip my switch to the high rate so you can see the difference. And there's the difference. And then I'll go take my measurements on the other side of the aileron and check that out. And everything looks good. And this has also got the flaperons. So the flaperons, you can go up or down with the flaperon dial. And you can set in the percentages as how much or how little you want. You don't really need it with this plane, but they're fun to play with if you want something new to play with. So there you go. There are control surfaces are set to the rates. That's all we need to do. And now for 3D rates, you're going to want to put your ailerons at 2.5 inches instead of the high rate of 1 5/8. You want to put your elevator at 2 3/4 instead of 2. And your rudder you're going to want at 2.5 inches instead of 2 inches. And that's for the 3D rates. So your high rates would be ailerons 1 5/8, your elevator 2 inches, your rudder 2 inches. Your 3D rates would be ailerons 2.5 inches, your elevator 2 3/4 inches, and your rudder at 2.5 inches. And those would be the 3D rates that you'd want to use. So if you got a 3-position switch, that's great. If not, you can just set it for the maximum for 3D once you get comfortable. But I'd suggest doing like a low rate thing and get used to the plane and feel how she works, and then slowly, gradually, you start moving the weight back if you need to, and also move your deflections to farther degrees. And that way you'll get a nice 3D performing plane.